With so many things going on in this current administration, I know it is very hard to keep track of it all, but I want everybody to remember the name Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We recently discussed how the Trump administration rounded this person up, stripping his due process rights away, and then illegally sent him to an El Salvadorian prison. And then they went into court and actually admitted that they had made a mistake, but that they weren't going to make any attempts to actually get this person back. I think every single American should be outraged by this. We have a Trump administration who is rounding up innocent people and just shipping them out of the country. And we have talked about this so many times before, but this is why due process matters. If we have a government that can just go around and accuse people of stuff and then use that as a pretext to throw them in jail or ship them out of the country without any legal process at all, then we do not have any freedoms. And I told you that the administration was going to try to sweep this under the rug, or they were going to try to claim that this was some violent gang member who was wreaking havoc on the American people. And that is exactly what happened when Karoline Leavitt stepped into that briefing room and decided that she was going to try to play a game of cover-up for this administration. Here she is being asked about how the administration actually knows that this is a gang member. If you guys do appreciate my work, please do remember to subscribe.
Our communities.
The Vice President said he was a convicted member of MS-13. What evidence is there to back that up?
There's a lot of evidence, and the Department of Homeland Security and ICE have that evidence, and I saw it this morning.
Does anybody for a second believe that? Every single time these people have been asked to prove their claims in court, they are just playing games with the judges. Not once have they brought evidence up that would prove that any of these people who have been deported are actually in a gang. And we've already talked about all of the innocent people who have been swept up in this dragnet. And when we're talking about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, this is a person who is in this country legally. He was actually granted protective status because he was fleeing gang violence in El Salvador. But now you have a Trump administration that is just ignoring all of that and sending him off to El Salvador anyway? I mean, what are we doing here, folks? This is not okay. These are human rights violations that the Trump administration should be prosecuted for. But they're going to come out and just play games with the American people even after they admitted that they had made a mistake in court? I mean, here she is talking about, well, we made a mistake, but we're still right anyway.
Just changing subjects for 1 second. The administration has expressed a complete confidence in how all the deportation flights to El Salvador were conducted. But now that the administration has conceded that there was an error of one Salvadoran national, will there be any reviews conducted? And does the president express any thoughts on the one error that was disclosed in court last night?
Well, first of all, the error that you are referring to was a clerical error. It was an administrative error. The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking. And fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization.
This whole thing stems from a 2019 arrest where Kilmar Abrego Garcia was arrested with a whole bunch of group of people in a Home Depot parking lot. And one person came out and said, well, that guy, he's a leader of MS-13. But what she is failing to mention here is that even the police did not believe he was in a gang. And they found no other subsequent evidence to prove that he was in a gang. And what she is also failing to mention is that when he went before the immigration judge, he had all of this information at his disposal, and he still decided that the best course of action was to grant protective status, because if he returned to El Salvador, he would likely be subjected to gang violence. So Karoline Leavitt is just lying to you here. They have provided no evidence that would prove that Garcia is actually in any gang. I'm just dumbfounded. Just think about how crazy this is. They're owning up to their mistake in court, but then they go in front of the American people, and instead of owning up to the mistake there, they are trying to tarnish Garcia's name, trying to pretend that he's involved in all this human trafficking, all of this gang activity. But in court, where people are under oath and you've got to make truthful statements, they say, yeah, we made a mistake. This is absolutely despicable behavior on the part of the American government. So then she's asked, well, J.D. Vance said he was a convicted gang member. What was he convicted of?
A few questions about this deportation case. First, I wanted to clarify something that you said to Jeff a few minutes ago. You said you'd seen evidence that this man was a convicted gang member. In what court was he convicted and for what?
This individual was an MS-13 ringleader. This individual was also engaged in human trafficking. And I'm glad you brought up this point again, because I would like to point out that if you just saw the headline from the insane failing Atlantic magazine this morning, you would think this individual was Father of the Year, living in Maryland, living a peaceful life, when that couldn't be further from the truth. They didn't even mention in the title of that article, or even in the first paragraph, that this individual is an illegal criminal who broke our nation's immigration laws. He is a leader in the brutal MS-13 gang, and he is involved in human trafficking, and now MS-13 is a designated foreign terrorist organization.
Again, she is just lying to you here. He went before an immigration judge and he was granted protective status, which means he was in this country legally. He is a union steelworker who goes to work every day. He is somebody who is contributing to our society, but because this Trump administration needs to play a game of distraction and try to get the American people on board with these brutal, brutal behaviors and deporting innocent people, they are trying to tarnish Garcia's name instead. That is what is going on here. Oh, he's part of human trafficking. He's violent, gang member. These people are absolutely pathetic. You can't have it both ways. You can't tell a court that, yes, we made a huge mistake, and then tell the American people a complete other thing. It just does not make any sense. And again, they have provided no evidence that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is actually in a gang. No evidence has ever come forward to make that claim true. So do not forget that, because that is what the right is currently trying to run away with. That is the cover-up that they are going with. They know they have made a huge mistake here. They know that they have deported an innocent person. And because they don't want to take any ownership of that, because it looks terrible, it looks absolutely terrible, they just run this distraction game instead. They want to attach all of this brutality to Garcia's name instead. So then she's challenged on, well, you know, back in 2019, the judge actually granted him protective status. So are you saying that that judge was wrong? But listen to her answer here.
But a judge ordered that he should remain in this country. So are you saying that it is okay to ignore a judge's ruling if you don't like it?
Who does that judge work for?
He's an immigration
It was an
judge.
immigration judge who works for the Department of Justice at the direction of the Attorney General of the United States, whose name is Pam Bondi, who has committed to eradicating MS-13 from our nation's interior. And let me tell you why we've made this commitment. MS-13, may I remind each and every one of you, is a brutal and vicious gang. They raped and strangled a 20-year-old autistic woman to death in Maryland. They hacked 4 people to death with machetes in a park on Long Island. They have kidnapped, sexually tortured, and shot a teenage girl in Texas after she insulted them, allegedly.
What the fuck was that? Oh, well, she worked. The immigration is part of the DOJ, so we can just go ahead and ignore the court's order. The immigration court was presented with evidence and determined that he was worthy of protective status in the United States. Because America used to be a free country. People could come here and seek protection from gang violence or persecution in their home country. And America used to have open arms to those types of people. I mean, he was let into the country legally under Trump's first administration. And now they're just saying, oh, well, we can just ignore that because they're part of the DOJ or whatever she just said here. And then she goes on to list off all of these brutal criminal things to try to attach those to Garcia's name again. They are trying to muddy the waters here. They want people to believe that, yes, indeed, Kilmar Abrego Garcia was actually an MS-13 gang member. He's actually involved in human trafficking. He's actually involved in all of these heinous crimes. So it makes the administration look better. Every single American should be speaking out against this. This is an authoritarian regime, like, at its finest. I mean, you could not get a clearer picture of the authoritarianism of the Trump administration. You are rounding up innocent people. You're saying the courts don't matter. You're ignoring court orders. You're stripping due process rights away. And then you're sending people off to a torturous prison in El Salvador. Like, these are human rights abuses that we haven't seen in this country in decades. I am embarrassed to be an American at this current point in time. America used to be better than this. But now the Trump administration is doing whatever it can to tarnish our name as Americans on the world stage. And he is engaging in heinous shit like this that is just absolutely despicable. So please, call your House members, call your congresspeople, call your senators, that's what I meant to say. Speak out for Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Tell them this should not be tolerated in the United States of America. And for the Trump administration to go into court and admit that they made a mistake, and then tell the American people the complete opposite thing, that, oh no, he was actually an MS-13 gang member without providing any evidence at all, should not be accepted by anybody. We should require higher standards from our elected officials. If they are going to make a claim that somebody is some violent criminal, they need to prove that claim in court. That is not what is going on here. And instead, we see an administration that is doing its best to be an authoritarian regime. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that adequately pushes back against this right-wing media ecosystem that just ferments the MAGA brain rot that we see plaguing this country every single day. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. And if you guys want to get a little bit more information on Kilmar Abrego Garcia, go ahead and watch that video and share that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.